Welcome on in to Bleacher Report. And today we are going to do something that I definitely did not envision maybe 5, 6, 7 weeks ago. There's no way I would have ever closed my eyes and pictured myself here. I am about to embrace the Nick Sirianni experience. I'm about to do a show where Nick Sirianni is going to get so much appreciation that I don't know what to do with myself. The Philadelphia Eagles have not lost since their 2-2 start and their early bye week. What Nick Sirianni had to deal with and his response is no short of remarkable. The way this team plays that I have come to be really appreciative of, and the way that I am obsessed of this brand of football, it reflects the head coach. It reflects Nick Sirianni. Sure, he's goofy. Sure, he's a little different. Sure, he's not your prototypical look and not your veteran presence, if you will, the way you would look at a Mike Tomlin or a Bill Belichick or, someone who's been around the league for a long time and bounced around being a couple different organizations, head coach and whatever, right? It's not that. But he is a fiery dude. He is an extremely passionate guy. He is someone who wears his love for football on his sleeve, and he gives a damn, and he's willing to work. And I believe that that rubs off on every single player in that locker room. Now, some of the men just have it, right? Lane Johnson and his mental makeup is rare. Saquon Barkley and his mental makeup is rare. But to the head coach's credit, when you are dealing with a ton of personalities and you have to have them all form the same sort of killer instinct, and you have to deal with a lot of these personalities, and you're able to get everybody humming in the right direction after last year's failures and the start of this year, how bad and upsetting it was, that's not easy. And for them to flip it around and play this smash mouth physical football, it reflects the fiery side of Nick Sirianni. And if you go back to how this year started, there was a lot of confusion on exactly what Nick Sirianni was going to do. What say does he have? What does Kellen Moore do? On the offensive side of the ball, more so than anything Vic Fangio related, because even when Doug Peterson and Jim Schwartz were here, Jim Schwartz, you have the keys to the Maserati on the defense. Dougie P and whatever you want to do offensively, have at it. They were separated, and they each were their respected coach of their side of the ball. So with Sirianni and Kellen, that was more of the diagnosis. Is how is this going to play itself out? Who says what? Who has the power and who gets to draw up the schemes? I think there was a lot of, I don't know who I am. There was a lot of identity crisis going on, if you will. Until now. Now I think it is finally settled. Now people get it. Now Nick understands this CEO role. The Philadelphia Eagles just had 3 very important games in a row, while also targeting a number 1 seed, trying to chase down the Detroit Lions. Short week against a division rival who was getting all the praise in the world for having this sexy offense. Shut down. Terry McLaurin, non-factor. The new shiny object that is the quarterback down there in Washington, nothing. Frustrated, pissed off. Now, you go on the road to play the LA Rams. Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford have things figured out, right? They won 4 out of 5, right? They're that sneaky team that you don't want to see get hot, right? You're flying to the West Coast, right? Dominant win. Dominant win. And then you go into Baltimore and out physical a team that didn't even know that they could be out physicaled. Nick had the team believing that they were the toughest team in all of football, and they were going to show it on Sunday. He outcoached Harbaugh because clearly he didn't have his team ready to match the intensity. And the Birds clearly showed their natural ability to go out there and maul you. But the coach had them prepared to do it. So I know I've said in passing credit to Nick Sirianni during a lot of these post-game shows and whatnot, but I don't know if that really does it justice. Look, I know what I said in the past. I despised what we were getting with Nick, where he was confused on who he was. Remember, his team said, we need you to be you, Nick. Nick was lost. We need you to be you. Then he goes out and starts screaming at people, and it's like, well, not that. let's dial it down a bit. So with trial and error, Nick found himself again, and when he gets to be him, when Nick is this version of Nick, it's legit. It works. When he's running the ship as the CEO with this version of Nick Sirianni, he's passionate, but he's not dumb with what he's doing on the sidelines. He's taking shots for his team. You know, he's taking blame when maybe it's someone else's fault. But after the game, you know, there was a column out there from, or was it a column? Was it a report? Regardless, those details isn't the more important part to this. But Jeff McClain of the Inquirer put out there that at the end of that half, remember where it was a little strange? I believe it was the game against the LA Rams. The first half, it was bizarre. You gave Matthew Stafford a chance with just a second or two left, but you screwed everything up. And apparently that was Jalen Hurts who changed stuff at the line of scrimmage, and it really screwed the team over. But Nick Sirianni postgame goes, yeah, that's on me. I got to clean things up. Now, that's the job of a coach. But my point is, nobody even really thought twice about it. It's like, yeah, look, Nick screwed up, and you move on. And like, those details matter when you discuss the 53 men. When you buy in, when you believe, when you become a brotherhood, when you become a family, you have to have that trust, and you have to have that relationship that is stronger than most. And with all the controversy of last year, and I believe there was turmoil inside that locker room. I believe Nick and Jalen Hurts did not see eye to eye. Brian Johnson and the family ties with the relationship with Hurts and his family, and just the way things crumbled after the 10-1 start, I don't think Sirianni and Hurts were in a great space. So for that to be the case, and now you're seeing things move in a totally different direction, that's due to the head coach. It really is. He's praising Jalen nonstop. The team knows how much Nick Sirianni pours his heart out for his guys. There was a clip going viral the other day of Zach Bond as he was mic'd up throughout the game. And it was, you know, where he's talking to one of his teammates, and Nick makes a decision on the sidelines, and he goes, you know why Nick did that? You want to know why Nick did that? Because he believes in us. And then momentarily, here comes Nick Sirianni down the sidelines of the bench. He daps up Zach Bond and a couple of other defenders, and he said, hey, I made that decision because I trust you guys. And it's like, wow. You see what I'm saying? They're clicking. That's them being in unison. That's them being one. And who creates that? Nick Sirianni does. Nick Sirianni creates that. There was a time where I didn't know if he would be looked at as the top dog. Vic Fangio's presence is a big one. That's a big personality. So even dealing with a lot of egos, as I mentioned, with players on the field and the ones in uniform, there's egos in coordinators too. Kellen Moore has had an interesting career to this point with the high upside. Vic Fangio is one of the best to ever do it, who's been in this league longer than Nick Sirianni has been on this planet. And I was always uncomfortable because I didn't know, once the GM and the owner stripped so much power from Nick, if it was possible, if he would ever have the respect as the top dog in that position. Would it ever truly feel like he was the one in control? Would it ever really feel like he was the one that was molding everything underneath of him, and this is Nick Sirianni's football? I didn't think so. I do now. I see it now. I look at Nick, and he looks like the leader of this football team with Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore as his sidekicks. Not Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio doing their thing, and Sirianni's just standing around and maybe peeking his head into a meeting here and maybe listening in on defensive meetings there. Like, I get it. Vic Fangio definitely has his hands all over why Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell and Nolan Smith and a lot of these dogs are flat out performing electric, they're just electric on the football field. A lot of the credit does go to Vic, but the CEO and the style of play, the brand they play, the hard nose, the smash mouth, the physicality, they saw strengths in this team. And over time, they have committed to this in the trenches, offensive line, run game concept because that's what suits this team best. Even with an AJ, even with Devontae, and even with Jalen Hurts, who's been a little aggressively criticized over the last 24 to 48 hours in my eyes because of the way he's not throwing the ball that much. And yeah, it's because this team doesn't have to. And you might say, well, what happens if a team forces the Eagles to There's no team that is good enough. There's no team that has the endurance, that has the toughness, that has the ability over 4 quarters to beat up on this O-line and Saquon. There is no team that can strategically force Jalen Hurts to throw the football to beat them. And if that is the case, they do have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Saquon in the passing game. And obviously the Goddard status is up in the air with all the injury news that has been coming out. So whether it's Calcaterra, it's not impossible. It's just not as lethal as the run game. But I don't think anybody is talented enough to force this team to have to do something other than their identity. And that's credit to Nick Sirianni, because if they stick to this is what they formulated. This is what they came together with and realized if we are going to maximize our roster, this is how we're going to do it. They self-assess every single bye week since Nick Sirianni has been here. The offensive line goes into his office. Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, they sit down with them and they say, I have a thought here. I have something that's resonating with me when I sit down and study what this team is capable of doing. And it's lean on the run. And to Nick's credit, he opens up his ears. He's willing to absorb information from anybody. Doesn't matter if you're the head coach or not. You're not too stubborn to kick people out of your office and say, that's cute, Lane. Thanks for the help. Thanks for the advice. I'm the head coach here, and I'll get back to work. Appreciate it. It's, hey, there's something to that. And to his credit, he opened up his mind and he started to commit to it. And now they're not getting discouraged when there's maybe a slow first, maybe a slow second quarter. They know this puppy works when you look at the 4 quarters in its entirety. And Nick Sirianni is the face of this brand of football in my eyes. I truly, truly believe that. Do you know, too, how difficult it is? I know it's always hard to be the hunted. We've experienced that before here. 2018, after they won in 2017, Zach Ertz and a lot of the guys in the locker room thought that it was going to be easy because they were bringing a lot of guys back. And, just talent-wise, they thought that they had even more talent in this room than the 17 team. So let's go run this thing again, right? And it didn't work out that way because being the hunted is a lot different than being the hunter. With that said, though, I don't think it's super easy to be the hunter, knowing that the Lions just keep winning. The Chicago Bears, Matt Eberflus shoots himself in the foot. He ends up getting canned. His whole team pretty much flips him off and goes, we want nothing to do with you. The Bears fire him in mid-season, which the Bears never do. So the reason I bring that up is here's the Lions who are scrapping away wins, finding ways to win no matter what. And it's not easy to keep up pace when you see Washington short week, Rams West Coast Sunday Night Football, and then down in Baltimore with an offense that was as elite as the best this league has ever seen. Statistically speaking, what Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson were doing on a week-to-week basis was out of this world sensational. It was out of this world gross, fantastic, elite football. And you did a great job of not only shutting that down defensively. I don't care about that stupid garbage touchdown. They straight up annihilated that offense. But also what the run game was able to do late. And not only that, what Jalen was able to do late. A big throw on third down. Using his legs to pick up a first down. Reading and reacting the defense the right way. Handing the ball off to Saquon or keeping it and running and sliding so he doesn't get hit. And now the chains move. It took longer than we are used to when we play the Browns, when we play the Giants, when we play some of these other teams. But you still got to it. It still worked by the time it was all said and done. The same blueprint. It still worked. So it can even work against the best teams in the league and one of the most aggressive, insane, heavy-filled defense that Baltimore has, especially with stopping the run. This is the second best the league has to offer in regards to stopping the run. The Ravens have never allowed someone to run 63 yards in a game against them this year. Saquon did that in the fourth quarter alone. That's special. That's different. And Nick Sirianni's doing a great job of coaching these guys. It's not perfect. By no means is this perfect. And watch, as soon as I finally open up my heart to Nick Sirianni, there's going to be a letdown. I'm going to say, damn it. But I don't think so. Why? Because the focus is legit. The focus is legit. After a win, he looks at his team in the face in the locker room, says, we're going back to work tomorrow. After a win and when a holiday's coming up, he goes, you can enjoy Thanksgiving after we get down to business and we keep our eye on the prize. That's another big angle of this, too, is just the day-to-day, the NovaCare complex showing up, the right willingness to compete every day. The not getting too far ahead of yourself, the overthinking, the this, the that. You got to stay in the right mindset. And Nick Sirianni has them doing that every single game. The focus is serious. But look, they're not perfect, and I get that. And I would like the passing game to be better. So a mixture between Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni with this weaponry in their, in their holster, if you will, you would think that there would be some more explosion. But the way I phrase this, and I'll continue to phrase this, is they are a timely bunch. They dial up the timely shots when need to, and they've been pretty consistent with knocking it down when they need to in that moment. So all in all, I'm just super thrilled. I really do think about this team a lot. There was a day the other day where it was Monday. It was Victory Monday, and all I could think about was Jalen Carter, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Saquon Barkley. It was all I could think about. It was consuming my mind. So much so that I had to do something to distract me. I went into my closet and I ended up not throwing out, they're still upstairs and we're going to donate them, but putting them in trash bags, 4 trash bags worth of clothes, and doing a massive overhaul in my closet, which took about 3 hours. I had a bunch of laundry to do, so I did all the laundry. I got the clothes out. I folded them up. I put them where they needed to be. I hung the ones up that needed to get hung up. So my point is, I did about a 3-4 hour cleaning session because it started to get a little dirty, if I'm being honest. The reason I had to do it, though, is because I'm so obsessed with this team and who they have become. It was overpowering my life. I couldn't just sit there because then my head would explode just picturing Cooper DeJean picking up Derrick Henry and tossing him back 3 yards. This is a rookie. This is a rookie. Zach Bond is doing things that Luke Kuechly did. One of the best to play the position. Jalen Carter's Aaron Donald. One of the best to ever play the position. And don't even get me started on Quinyon. I don't know what the ceiling is for this kid, but it's filthy. It's filthy. And Saquon, he only gets better as the game goes on. You'd think by carry 18, 19, 20, 21, there might be some fatigue. No such thing. No such thing. So I just want to make it clear that I want to give Nick Sirianni a lot of love and appreciation for what has transpired since the bye. Because if I'm going to be insane and rip him and destroy him and annihilate him and question him and wonder exactly what this was going to be under Nick Sirianni with a lot of confusion, if he responds, he deserves more credit than just, hey, thanks, Nick, for a good game. I love the way this team plays every week. I'm obsessed with their style. Nick, to me, looks like the head of it all. I look at the coaching staff, and he looks to be in control with the message every week with the fiery personality. This team plays with a fiery personality. It reflects that. So I believe that part of what I love about this team is the way that Nick Sirianni leads this team. And if that's the case, I got to show him love. So that's how I feel. All right, everybody, that's going to do it here on Bleacher Report. Thank you guys all so much. I greatly appreciate all the love and support. I will talk to you on Sunday afternoon after an Eagles game, a 1 o'clocker for the first time in a little bit, it feels. We have the Panthers. So that'll be an interesting one to say the least. All right, everybody, thank you all so much and enjoy the rest of your evening. Go Birds.